On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, have you been traumatized by Eric Kripke? If so, you may be due financial compensation.
Do you have plague leg? Or do you just love dogs? We've got Saint for you. All right, let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And this week we're going to talk Season 9, Episode 3, I'm No Angel.
Or are you?
Kind of. Yeah, so what have you been up to?
Okay, so there's going to be a spoiler for The Boys that's coming here. And you may just, if you don't want to be spoiled for seasons, so season 6, season 5, whatever, the latest season of The Boys that just came out, just skip forward like about a minute or two. But so I have been traumatized by Eric Kripke once again. And I think Eric Kripke is just going through the cast of Supernatural and doing horrible things to them just to fuck with them and with us. So there is a scene in the season of Supernatural of Rob Benedict, and he
Of The Boys.
In The Boys, yeah, and he's got special powers in it, and he's able to duplicate himself. And let's just say that he makes his own human centipede while he's jacking off, and he's naked, and it's a lot. And also, good on you, Mr. Benedict. I know you are a nemesis of our podcast, but you have a very nice schlong. But also, like, I saw so much of that peen, like, because it was duplicated too. So there was like 20, like dozens of Mr. Benedict's peen everywhere. And there was so much that happened. And there's just so much that happened in like the one episode, and I don't know if I'm fully recovered yet. I know we're going to, by the way, that's coming up. We're going to the Austin Con of Creation. So I know Mr. Benedict is going to be there, and we're going to have to listen to him talk. And all I'm going to be able to see is that it's over and over. Oh God. Yeah, we can't go to any of his photo things. Like, I can't be in a room with him. I can't meet him in the eye. I don't think that's gonna be possible. I mean, it was well done, sir. And also he just had a baby with Ruth Connell, and somehow I did not know this. I know we have not gotten to Ruth Connell's part in this, but we talk about her because we love her, and she's a tiny, adorable little redhead, and we all love tiny little. But yeah, she had a fucking baby with Rob Benedict in February. I had no idea that happened, and I felt like a rube. But I just goes to prove my point that these cons are just everybody fucking. God. So we'll see you in August, everyone.
So see you in Austin.
So that is coming up in August. We will see you at the con. We're going to go to the karaoke night. We're also going to go see Misha's thing. So we will be there with Miss Bells. Probably not Bells on that would kick us out, but
I'd be obnoxious.
That would also be annoying.
I'd be annoyed with myself. But Bells, I'd be like, ugh. I wore shoes that squeaked all day, and I was annoyed with myself.
So what have you been up to besides being annoyed with yourself for squeaking?
I feel like I've been so busy, but I also am like, what have I done? I guess we went and celebrated my sister's birthday. We went out with a group of girls, and it was fun. And we went and saw Dina Carter. If you don't recall, she is the singer of such hits as We Danced Anyway and Strawberry Wine. She also wrote the song
Strawberry Wine. I think that's
Tequila and You, which is another song that Kenny Chesney recorded, but she wrote it. But anyways, she put on a really great show. And then had a nice little meet up with our car club, and Albus, our dog, our 3-legged dog, is in school, so that's been one of our big focuses lately. Is he goes to training once a week right now because he is very sweet, but stubborn yet motivated dog. So we are.
I think you need to say that he's going for private tutoring because he is not going to school because that implies that he is in class with other boys.
He's in private tutoring.
He's in private tutoring.
That's true. So we've been doing that, and I guess that's about it. Yeah, that's all we got. And this weekend coming up, I'll be going to see my friend Joshua Ray Walker playing for one of his special solo shows as he goes through his chemo treatments. And what are you doing this weekend, Liz? Because when people are listening to this show, what will you be doing?
I'm in my 40s. My birthday is coming up, and so I don't give a crap. My birthday is
celebrating your birthday.
Hopefully, I can finally at least get in my pool, which is in my new house. And right now, there's just a dead frog swimming in my pool. He's not swimming. He's lying on the. He's lying. Yeah, he's not covered in algae. So at least I was like, oh, like there's no algae. But I saw him swimming the other day. We were walking. I was like, that frog gonna die. There is too much chemicals in there. And my friend was like, do you want me to get him out? I'm like, no. Like, there's nothing that can happen. This is his forever chemicals moment. I forgot. This is his fate. This is his fate. What is a terrible chemical catastrophe moment? But it was like, I know, like, they just dumped like 10 pounds of chlorine in there. I'm like, I don't think he was that pale when he got in this pool.
He got his roots done before I did.
He got the blonding. The blonding happened. And then, this morning when I went to just, because I was just like, let's go take a look around, just make sure nothing weird has happened. Nothing dead was floating in the pool, but that he was in the bottom of the pool. Like,
oh. Not floating. But
I was like, well, pool guy comes on Thursday. I'll just leave him in there till then.
That'll be fine.
And I do want to see if they write that on, like, because they do like a pool report. And I want to see if they say like dead frog.
Dead frog.
And if they don't pull the frog out, then it's almost like a test. Like, I'm like, why is there a dead frog in my pool? Give me a discount. It's a test frog. All right, so we're talking about
fingers
frogs.
Crossed.
We're talking about we're talking about supernatural, and I'm no angel, and I forgot to write down what the hell this title comes from, but it's some sort of play about angels, and you're no angel. And this was season 9, episode 3, and it first aired October 22nd, 2013. And it was directed by Kevin Hooks, and this is the only episode he ever directed of the show, which is weird when that happens. Most recently, he's been directing episodes of This Is Us and The Good Lord Bird, and episodes of Preacher, but he has been directing and acting since the 80s, and his list of credits is phenomenal. Like Saint Elsewhere, V, Fame, Roots, Young Riders, China Beach, Doogie Howser, and it's all like super greats, and then just kept on working up to recently. So good on him, but this is the only thing that he ever did of the show. Maybe he just had enough of like Padalecki's farting or something, probably. So I don't come at me, bro. Like, you're a dude. I know you farted. All right. So this was written by Buckner and Ross Lemming, and this was, they're prolific writers of the show, and we last saw them in season 8 with Taxi Driver. Before that was Man's Best Friend with Benefits, and A Little Slice of Kevin. So we're going to go from that right into our recap of Angels, Reaper, Angels.
Pretty much. That's about it. Yeah, that covers it. So jumping into the episode. We've got 2 priests, an older and younger, walking through a garden at night, and an angel talking about a dinner plan for the Monseigneur. And an angel in a suit just like pops up and is like, interrupting you to let you know we're looking for Castiel. Okay. So it cuts to the next day to St. Anne's Shelter for Men. And we have Cass in the living quarters. I'm like, oh, he's brushing his teeth. False. He is just eating toothpaste.
It's not like you've never eaten toothpaste. Like, we've all eaten toothpaste.
Well, yeah, we have.
And then regretted it immediately. And we don't get to see, like, his regret of this. But
no, he's into it.
But he's also apparently going by Clarence. Oh,
I know.
so sweet.
So we find out he's going by Clarence, and this guy's like knows who he is. He's like, yeah, I'm heading out from I'm leaving this shelter after work tonight, though. So bye. But also, I'm really tired of urinating.
Yeah, I did take a screenshot of that and sent it to my friend who's my mom's caretaker. I was like, this just reminds me of my mom being like, my mom's main thing as an aging elderly lady is complaining about how much she has to pee. But really, like for a lady, I don't think she has to pee that much. But anyhow, apparently Angels and my mom all get tired of urinating. So then we go outside of St. Anne's shelter to St. Anne's Cathedral, which is apparently where our homeboys from earlier were at.
Right. And Castiel's, they're all doing, all these men from the shelter are doing yard work. That's what they're taking care of the grounds. And he finds some blood on a rock and on a gate. And he follows this little trail. And so somehow nobody's noticed that cemetery adjacent to the grounds that all these guys are working in are two priests shoved on the fucking spires at the top of a fence around a grave. Just chilling out in the middle of the day with their eyes burned out. Bloody fucking mess all over the place, and no one's noticed.
No, you had to go through the gate. Like, no, it was why else would you see that?
And to be clear, it was a metal gate. It was not a solid wood gate. I'm just saying. No one noticed.
No one just, you really had to pick up that trash, but also angels are dicks. Mm-hmm. So we go from that to the bunker and Dean wandering around in his old dead dude's robe.
And pouring tea from a silver tea set?
Oh, he's getting fancy.
Sure. Well, Sam strolls in. Apparently Sam has already gone for a run, come home, gotten cleaned up, ran out and got breakfast, and come back with real bacon and eggs with extra grease for Dean.
Which, that is the best roommate ever. You go running, you don't wake me up and try and make me go running with you, which I do appreciate. And you bring me fucking eggs and bacon, which sounds awesome. But I also every night before I go to bed, I promise myself I'm going to be like Sam. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go exercise, and I'm going to go for an early breakfast. And usually it's just I get up and then get some coffee.
Well, Dean asks him about running. He's like, wait a minute, because he's worried about him. He's like, look, Castiel's not here yet. And that trial was such a strain on you. So I'm worried. And Sam's like, I feel great. And then good old Ezekiel takes over and he's like, he does feel better, but I'm still slowly healing him, which is not reassuring.
Yeah. So I double checked. And so the fandom portmanteau for Ezekiel possessing Sam is Sezekiel.
Sezekiel?
Sezekiel. Sezekiel. You get, what you would get with,
Tzatziki.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of Greek food now.
Yes, you would get with your falafel.
Yeah.
But with Sam Ezekiel. But
Sam Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Okay. While he's at it, Sam Ezekiel's going to share, by the way, I picked up some angel chatter, and apparently there's a faction that are finding vessels, and the leadership of the faction is desperate to find Castiel. And he's like, see, I promised I'd be useful. And then zaps out. And then all of a sudden Sam's back. It's very freaky.
It's very, they're just flipping mid-conversation. And Sam really bounces back into mid-sentence. Is burr, 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 burr. And you're like, what the hell just happened? And Dean's wait. And then Dean starts talking about angels organizing, and that confuses Sam, which confuses Dean. And then that confuses Sam. And then I'm confused. And then Cass is confused. And okay, whatever. Let's look at my Cass.
So we cut to a pharmacist watching why is this motherfucker watching a video at work on his phone is my first complaint. But anyways.
Yeah, so, it just depends. He doesn't, maybe he's not compounding your, I was going to say.
He's standing at the counter he's about to wait on somebody. It's very odd. And he's watching a very religious video. It's good old Reverend Buddy Boyle. And then so he's just smiling and really into watching good old Reverend Buddy Boyle.
Yeah, and then Reverend Boyle's on there and he's telling people to let angels in and to fill you up.
Yeah.
with a grace.
If an angel comes a knocking, you let him on in.
Let him in. Just open wide and let those angels right inside of you. So then we cut to the studio with the actual buddy.
Yeah, and it's the angel Bartholomew is overseeing this.
Bart.
And Barty. I start calling him Bart. And he's like, oh, yeah. God is highly pleased with your work, and he's got a reward for you. And the Reverend's just so honored. But he's like, yeah, but like his assistant chick's all like, I'm going to be a vessel for the divine right now. I give myself over. And Bart's like, sure, let's fucking do this, and waves for an angel to come in. And we get a light blue cock smoke into our little reverend's assistant.
See, I didn't even get like the light blue. Like it was more just like kind of an angelic white, which is, the reverse of like our demon cock smoke, which is more of just as like kind of like gritty black. And so I'm just wondering, is it the same effect? They're just taking the color out, or do you get a whole new angel effect?
So she gets an angel in her, and then her body starts contorting. Her eyes start bleeding. She's whimpering, then screaming, and then explodes everywhere in a bloody mess.
Yeah, she was not ready for that jelly. She just wasn't.
Mm-mm. So Bart tells the Reverend that not all that are willing are just designed to contain heaven's grace. We got to expect a casualty every now and then. And the Reverend looks very upset. But he's like, oh, like a lamb of sacrifice, and kind of like
it just is what it is. Like the 2024 election, it just is what it is. So he just really takes this though. He was like, okay, like I guess this is fine. That my friend who didn't. I mean, first she tried those bangs, and then she tried to have an angel inside of her. Like she just did not have a good time or a good day. No. But.
So we cut to Dean trying to calculate where Castiel might be, because they told him to come to the bunker, and he is taking way longer than expected, but he's human now. So that changes things. So they are trying to calculate along the path, and they find the priest murders in Emery Park, Iowa, and find that those priests were tortured. So they're like, oh, fuck, there's a good target. Let's go there.
But I also feel like Dean spent all this time like making this map that had all these concentric circles in different colors. And this was 1 day. This was 2 days. This was 3 days. And then Sam just goes, oh, hey, there was this angel that killed somebody. Let's go there. So he spent probably a couple of hours like making that map. And there's just like, well, fuck it. I guess we're just going to go look to where like this was.
So speaking of Castiel, we cut to him eating, he's eating a can of food under a bridge at a homeless encampment. And another person has shared this with him. And Castiel's realizing he needs to plan his food better because he's running out regularly. And he's just new at food, sleep, and passing gas. And the fact that one day he's going to die.
Yeah, I mean, farting is really strange. But he also says something really sweet and profound. And he's like, I'm finding the people with the least to give are the most generous. And I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to go try to sleep. And it points out what an ordeal trying to go to sleep is. And both of us were probably like, yes, it is.
It is. And then his new friend is like, have you tried counting sheep? He's like, oh no, it sounds really good. And also like this guy is beyond just sharing his food. Like he's just putting up with this weird guy talking to him in the middle. Like, so good on him. He seems like a good man.
Well, and then Castiel, for some reason, there's this bus in this.
Wait. So there's an abandoned bus in the middle of a homeless camp. Nobody has claimed this. No one is like, there's just all these seats that are just waiting for him to come and. Like, somebody would, like, there would be literal, like, fights over this. There would be a flag on it. Someone would be standing on top of it. And, like, they would be, like, sharing claims because they couldn't defend it by themselves. They would have to have multiple people. Like, there were things that were going with this bus.
Yes.
Not just, unless, like, it was infested with bugs.
It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Anyways. Like, it had to be, like, something really wrong with that. If no one else is sleeping inside of it, like, there's a reason.
Yeah. And, well, Cass finally tries to go to sleep while wondering about sheep. And our pharmacist appears outside the bus, and it wakes Castiel up because he senses something. and he's got his angel blade, and then the pharmacist is in the bus, and he cuts Cass's arm, and then he realizes Castiel's human. He's like, "Wait, you're human," and then Castiel kills him.
And I think it's interesting that none of the angels know this, right?
Right, like nobody figured this out till now.
Like, so you can not sense that I feel like
They're tracking him.
He would feel different, full of grace, and empty of grace. I feel like those are two different, angel versus human. I think that would make a difference.
Because, like, if they're tracking him, how would they even track him if he wasn't an angel anymore? Or, like, why? Like, they'd look and be like, oh, why are we tracking this human?
It'd be like tracking just a regular vessel or a thing.
Exactly.
But, I mean, maybe they can just track them. I don't know. But I think there's a problem with that.
But also, is there something weird with the fact that, and I don't want to go down too far a rabbit hole here, but if his grace is gone, how is he still Castiel and is he not
Jimmy?
Yeah.
But the thing, like, is he Castiel or is he Jimmy if he's just become, like, his own, like... So person. I think Jimmy is, like, up in heaven. Jimmy is, like, in the thing in, like, heaven. Like, he's in his little, like,
Jimmy
room thing.
Jimmy's dead.
Thing. So I think it's just a replication of the vessel keeps getting made. I think that is what we all kind of go with now at this point.
I'm just flagging that. Thanks.
I know. And, like, unless every time they remake Castiel, they remake Jimmy Novak and then put Castiel's vessel back inside of him, which seems like an extra, like, a lot of work. If you could just make a thing that looks like Jimmy Novak and then put Cass inside.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, back at the church, back at St. Anne's, Dean's there, and the guy, one of the Castiel's buddy there, does remember Clarence from the shelter. And he's like, and he's like, yeah, it's real sad. These guys, these priests look like they suffered real bad, but at least now they're with the angels. And Dean's like, I sure hope not. It's just a funny exchange. But back in Baby, Sam's there, and they've confirmed, now that Cass was using the name Clarence, and Sam laughs. He loves that Meg used to call him that.
Oh, he loves Maxiel too. He was just like, I love that shit.
And but that Castiel never understood that it was a famous angel. And apparently Dean didn't get that either.
Dean doesn't get it either. Sam explains It's a Wonderful Life, which we all know has come up in the show before, and Dean's still like, what?
Dean. But our pharmacist is from Dayton, and the homeless that was killed, so it's another angel kill, and they're going to go to this homeless camp in Indiana now.
And we cut by Cass, he's walking and the hot dogs smell good. But then he's like, do I have enough cash for this? Or should I just go into this tattoo shop and then interrupt this person who's getting a tattoo to be like, can you look at this weird thing that's in my pocket and quote me a price, and we'll just like be, what happened?
And I barely have enough for a hot dog, but apparently I have enough for a tattoo, and I'm going to interrupt. Like, I'm going to get a tattoo consultation in the middle of your tattoo.
Also, why are you tattooing in front of a window? That's weird. But still, like,
I've
yeah.
seen that, but
still, no, you don't walk up and interrupt somebody while they're in the middle of tattooing somebody. They may talk to you, but they're not, I don't know. It's weird.
He got too close. It was weird. It was very weird.
But
Somebody's
also,
not been to a tattoo shop.
Why is the tattoo necessary?
I don't know exactly. I guess we find out about it some kind of what it is.
Like, couldn't you just like Sharpie that shit on yourself?
Probably.
Like, I think that would do the same and probably be less painful of getting a tattoo on your ribs and just cheaper. And then you could get a hot dog. Like, you could buy a Sharpie and a hot dog.
You could buy a Sharpie and a hot dog for less than a tattoo. I don't care where you go.
Yeah, I don't like that's the new Costco special: a Sharpie and a hot dog. So, okay, we go from that back to Reverend Boyle.
And Bartholomew, and there's this chick angel there now, and they're pretty impressed about Reverend Boyle's ability to
Where are the angels
find
getting
vessels.
these suits? Like, because they're all like the same but slightly different. Like, is this just like in the dress code that you have to have like a gray, like 3-piece suit with the vest, but your vest can be a button down? It doesn't have to be the same level of gray. Because Bartholomew has a different like suit than this chick does, but this chick has this like. And I can't even figure out what to compare these suits to, though.
I don't know. I know, but they've got a vibe for sure.
They have a vibe, but not like something. Maybe like David Bowie post Ziggy Stardust type of suit, but I can't like place them into something.
Okay.
Anyways.
Well, he wants to find Castiel right now. And she's like, well, we've got our Dayton operative is tracking him. And apparently she is in trouble that she has not found Castiel yet. But another angel comes in and is like, by the way, Castiel killed your operative. And so she is like, no, Castiel is a madman. And the new angel's like, yeah, and he's like totally vanished now. We can't track him anymore because he warded himself.
Bye.
Bartholomew's pissed. So Castiel's just walking through the city, eyeballing street food, eyeballing some titties.
You know, like you do. Sometimes you want some sausages, sometimes you want your meat. And then he wanders his way into a church, and there is a stained glass of a guy showing off his meat while a dog shows off bread, and then an angel flies above him. And then I spent a good part of my afternoon discussing with Bo Diana and another friend about what the hell this thing meant. And so I'm actually going to tell Diana really like why there is a picture of a dude with his sexy knee and a dog. And so this is the story of Saint Roch, or Rococo, depending on where you are at. He's the patron saint of dogs and dog lovers. And
yay!
Yeah, I thought it's a good week for this. So this comes from some Catholic encyclopedia I found on the internet. It was written by somebody named Gretchen Filtz. Sorry. Link will be in the show note. You can find this. I'm just totally reading what she wrote. So Saint Roch, also known as Saint Rocco, was a nobleman from Montpellier, France, and he was the only wealthy son of the wealthy governor of the city. And Saint Roch, circa 1295 to 1327, was born with an unusual and deep red mark on his chest in the shape of a cross, a sign that Blessed Virgin Mary had heard and answered his mother's prayers for her barrenness to be healed. So I guess his mom was like, I need a baby, and please, Blessed Mary, give me one. And so she did, but they're like, by the way, you also get a birthmark just to know that I did this for you, right?
Huh.
And so as a child, though, Roch was deeply religious, fasting twice a week after the examples of his pious mother. So he was an annoying little brat that was just probably at his Sunday school being like, I didn't eat 2 days this week in honor of God. And like all the other kids were like, can I just have some bread? And so they're probably like, and most of these kids are just like, I would really like some bread. I'm so hungry. I'm so poor. You fucking like wealthy governor's son. You're fasting and I just want a goddamn potato. But anyway, so then his parents die because he's like Batman. No, he's 20 when they die. And after that, though, he's just like, you know what? I don't need to be rich. I'm going to give my inheritance to the poor. Cool. And he hands the government of the city over to his uncle. And he is like, I'm going to become a poor pilgrim, right? And so now he doesn't have any earthly cares. And he joined some Franciscans. I may be going off of her script a little bit, but I am reading most of it. Okay, so he joins some Franciscans, and he dons a pilgrim garb, not like the turkey pilgrim, but like a pilgrim, like, you know, I'm going off to like visit things type of pilgrim, right? And that was to show that you were like pious, and that was a popular thing. So it's still annoying as fuck. Being like, oh look, here's Roch over here in his goddamn pious robes, just like showing off, like he's still like, I'm intermittent fasting this week. Come join me at CrossFit. So he's pilgrim.
Like is this the guy that's like driving and is like doing like yoga on the beach and living out of a camper van and telling everybody how
he's getting his best life? So he goes to his pilgrimage. He goes to the holy places, prays in Rome. When he comes onto the town of, I think they just made up this town's name, Aqua Pendenta, near Vertebo. Like, that's also not a place that's anything is near, but apparently it was near this. So something in Italy. somewhere in Europe. He saw that it was badly struck by the Black Plague, and that was wreaking havoc across Europe at the time. So he sojourned there to care for the sick in private homes and in hospitals as a great risk to himself. So he's just like, I need to care of, I'm giving up all my money, a pilgrim. These people here have a plague. I'm going to help them, right?
Right.
So he cured a lot of people by just making the sign of the cross over them. So that's a good skill to have. And he continued his charitable work until the disease was halted from spreading further. Like he did so much that he like stopped the infection. Wow. And it just that happened in every plague infested town that he went through on his way to Rome. And then finally, like into Rome itself. Sorry, the cat has taken away. Thank you for bringing the script back, Kat. I appreciate that. Okay, so he like goes to town. He's just healing the plague, like right and left. And gets to Rome. And then he gets to the town of Piacenza, and there he discovered that he was no longer spared from the deadly disease, and he got it in his leg. So I did not know this, but apparently you can get the plague like just in your leg.
In a wound?
Just your one leg.
Huh.
So, but instead
Can you just cut it off?
You could, I guess. But, he didn't go anywhere else. He has this one plague leg. And so instead of burdening anybody else with his sickness, he commends himself to God, and he awaits his death in a remote and abandoned forest hut. So he's just like, I've got a plague leg, and I'm just going to go to this hut, right? But a dog finds him, and it's a nobleman's hunting dog. And he finds him, and the dog brings him food, and he like licks his wounds every day. And then like a spring just like pops up from nowhere. And so now he's got water, he's got a dog's just licking his leg. And I will tell you, in some of these pictures, the wound was on the inner thigh, and I'm just like, okay, so that's happening. Dog's just licking on your thigh. But so the nobleman eventually follows his dog into the woods one day, and he's just like, I gotta go see what Skipper's doing. I don't know where he's been off to. And he's just like, oh, he's licking this guy. Hey, Roach. And so Roch is there, and his health is restored, and he is like, I'm going to go back to Montpellier and, tell them like all this goodness that I've found. So he goes back, and the city is at war because he's just left it and was like, let his uncle take care of things. And he comes back and things are bad. But he doesn't want to tell the soldiers who he is. So he's just like, you don't know me. I am poor and smelly. And so, but they're like, wait a minute. Like, I'm very suspicious of this man who won't tell me who he is. Like, you must be a spy. But they're in France. So it's like, oh, you are a spy. And even they're like, maybe some cheese. And he did not he didn't defend himself against these charges, and he wanted to conceal, his identity. And he was like, I was going to leave myself to God. And so his own uncle, but he left everything to, said, smelly man, you go to prison. And they throw him in prison. He did not recognize his nephew with his beard and his smelliness. And so he was forgotten and abandoned in prison. God sent angels to minister to him while he was in there, but he died. He dies in there 5 years later.
5 years later?
Yeah, his uncle has thrown him in there in no time as he's been like, hey, dude, I'm your nephew. But so that's why he's a saint. So according to a Franciscan hagiographer, Marion A. Habig, OFN, whatever those initials mean. When he felt that his end was drawing near, St. Roch asked that a priest might come and administer the last sacraments. The priest, on entering the prison, beheld it supernaturally lighted up, and the poor captive surrounded with special radiance. So, like, maybe, like, the angelic cock smoke is, like, roaring around, right? So, as death claimed his victim, a tablet appeared on the wall on which an angelic hand wrote in gold letters the name of Roch and the prediction that all who would invoke his intercession would be delivered from the plague. Informed of all that took place, St. Roch's uncle came to the prison, and shortly after, also the governor's mother, that is Roch's grandmother. And she was like, yeah, look at his damn chest. Like, remember that fucking birthmark from, like, where he was born? Like, why didn't y'all look at that sooner? And they're like, yeah, it's him. So then they gave him a really fancy funeral, and they built a church in his honor, and they entombed his body there. And then, like, a bunch of people made him a saint. Then, like, later during 1414, like, plague breaks out again, like other places besides legs, and the council fathers like pray to Saint Roch or Roch, however you say that, and then because he's the patron saint against the plague, and like wherever you prayed, the plague, I guess it ceased, it stopped. Apparently that works. We've never heard of. Yeah, and because of his patronage against infectious disease, Saint Roch was a highly regarded saint in the late Middle Ages, especially in those Italian towns where he exercises healing powers. They liked him there. Many of them chose him as their patron. Oh. He is often depicted as a pilgrim with a walking staff and a seashell. What you thought was a pear was a seashell, and that is a symbol of a pilgrim. And he often has an open sore on his leg, an angel by his side, and a dog at his feet. He is the patron saint of dogs, dog owners, knee problems, surgeons, invalids, bachelors, diseased cattle, not the regular cattle, against cholera, plague, skin rashes, and diseases, contagious diseases, pestilence, and epidemics. His feast day is August 16th. And that is the story of St. Roch, maybe Rococo. But that is why there is a picture in that church of a dog and a man
with bread, not potato, like I thought.
It'd still be a potato. I mean, I don't like. Maybe I think also like, did the dog bring him bread? Is that why they didn't explain why the dog had bread in there?
No, I guessed, but.
Yeah, there are some where it's very much a plague wound. But most of the, I encourage you people, I encourage our listeners to go and look, just throw Saint Roch into ROCH into a Google image search and see lots of sexy knees. And then just imagine like lots of male models like modeling for like the medieval artists.
Show
me a little more knee. Oh, I need more thigh, more thigh. Like, I don't want to, sir. Do it for the dog.
Well, in the church, in addition to this fine stained glass art, is a woman praying.
They focused on it. It seemed like it had something to do with something. It has nothing to do with nothing. There's no way that relates to anything in this episode. I don't think.
They just wanted a close up of a fucking stained glass window. But so there's a woman praying for angels to heal Mike, who is a good man. Mike. And as she's leaving the church, Castiel does stop her. He's like, "Is Mike your husband?" She's like, "Yeah, he's super sick." And Castiel's like, "Yeah, it's how fragile humans are." And she's like, "Well, that's why we pray." And he's like, "Well, what if you found out no one was listening? What if God left and heaven's going out of business?" She says, "It's not possible." He's like, "It's completely possible." She's like, "You're missing the point. It's not possible because I have my faith." And he's like, "But it's the truth." And she's like, "That's your truth, not my faith. Your lack of faith doesn't cancel what I believe. You might feel better if you tried it my way, that someone's listening."
Yeah, and that ends up going to a whole bunch of like things, right? Because he's not wrong. Sweet. Like, he knows exactly like where this prayer is going to, right? And he knows that there's no angels in heaven. And she's just like, "Well, the angels are there. Like, I believe in them. This is my faith. It's not your faith."
She doesn't say the angels specifically in this part. She just knows that someone is listening and she has her faith. Yeah, I thought it was very sweet.
No, it is very sweet. But she had asked the angels to come down, like, for Mike.
To heal Mike,
she believes in angels. Like, that's just what I'm saying.
And we all know angels are dicks, but that's okay.
Well, and that's, where it becomes like this very weird, like, how much of the actual truth interacts with faith when it comes to things like this, right? Because you're on this supernatural level of things versus then you go into, and this is how you end up in a corner eating your hair going, is this simulation real?
Well, I really liked that exchange. I thought it was a really special exchange.
I thought it was very interesting. I think it's very poignant too. It's just, it's a very interesting philosophical discussion.
Yeah. But back with good old Reverend Boyle's office, we've got Barty, as I've taken to calling him.
Bitchin' Bart. Bart's
Bart.
Bitchin'.
He is bitchin'. He's so mad that they can't track Castiel. And so now he has hired a freelance reaper. And basically tells him, follow the Winchesters. That's how you find him. So we cut to...
I was like, how do you start looking for Castiel? And he's like, one word. Winchester. He's so overly dramatic, and he's just so... He just looks like every frat boy ever wanted a punch in the cooter. Like, it's just... just... Bart!
Well, Sam and Dean...
So we go to the police station.
Make him go write Winchester on the chalkboard. The police station, they're talking to this cop about, and this cop's telling them that this victim was found with this, the pharmacist was found with a stab wound and with his insides vaporized, and it's just real weird, but here's all his belongings if you want them.
Yeah,
so,
I don't feel like you're a great police station that you just were like, hey, here's his dead man's personal belongings that I got from an evidence site. These guys who say they're the Phoebes, like, we're just here. Have all this evidence. Remember back with Charlie in the chain of custody form. And this is what that chain of custody form is about, guys. Like, people just aren't supposed to, give you a pile of evidence and just be like, go through it with your hands.
Not how it works.
Sorry.
So,
I know we've bitched this before, but this was just so obvious. It's just like an obvious terrible, here's all his stuff.
But they also had to get his phone, which they do, and so that they could find that he was obsessively watching videos of Reverend Buddy Boyle, and they find the part of the video where it is telling them to let angels in. And so now they know that this Reverend is helping find vessels. And they are like, well, how big is this guy's reach? And then apparently good old Reverend Buddy Boyle has a website tab that shows a world map that shows his reach. I don't know what the fuck that is.
What the fuck is this? This is like the pew pew map that we used to show people in cybersecurity to pretend like we were actually doing things like, oh, we stopped Russia this week. But this is just, so somehow on his website, it tracks the IP addresses of all his people. I don't know. But also apparently Reverend Buddy Boyle has way better numbers than we do. So we need to start doing whatever Reverend. Let the angels in. Let them in. They're your friends.
Oh, well, they're freaked about this. And we also start seeing our freelance reaper following Sam and Dean at this point. We cut back to Castiel, and he is dumpster diving for food.
And pickle smelling.
Yeah, in an alley. And this chick approaches him, and Castiel's talking about how much just waste there is, and she just shares her peanut butter sandwich with him. She's like, hey.
He's dumpster diving, and he's just like, I didn't realize that humans wasted so much food. But then he just wastes all the food. He picks up a perfectly good looking pickle, and that pickle looks fine. I would eat that pickle right now. And he just puts it back. And he just leaves, is I can't believe people wasted all this food, and then just leaves it there. And then eats a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which I would also like, because I also do have the things to make a peanut butter and jelly. If I had the things to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I would not want one, but I do not have those things.
So now
and therefore I immediately want a peanut butter and fucking jelly sandwich.
Yeah, obviously. That's how it works.
So damn you.
But Sam and Dean have now found their way to the homeless encampment under the bridge where the angel was murdered. And it's pretty funny because Dean's like, no, we really just want information. We're definitely not cops. And everybody just kind of looks at him like,
yeah,
we don't even look like cops.
Yeah, you all look like cops. You completely look like cops, including the fact that like Sam's calling victims Vicks. Like they have completely gone over the cop line.
But they're like, look, we're just trying to find Clarence. Here's his description. And what the guy that kind of gave him some food and some help, listened to him ramble, I should say. It's like, yeah, he went to go sleep somewhere else. And then I saw him flag down a truck that was heading to Detroit.
And he's very helpful. He gives him a lot of information. It just takes him a while.
Yeah.
And the Reaper is watching.
He's watching. But Castiel's hanging in this alley still. He stayed in the same alley after he ate that peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and now he's shivering in the rain.
He just stayed there, like, in this one place, and then he just, like, it's rain, and I'm going to stand out here in the rain and not take shelter until the girl comes and finds him.
Yeah. And she takes him home.
Like you do.
Her.
You know, you just like meet like random dudes in the street, give them sandwiches, and then take them home and then tell them you don't normally do this.
Sure. And he just looks like he's been to hell and back.
Yeah, no, she's clearly a serial killer because nobody does that.
But she introduced herself finally as April Kelly, and as he's drawing himself off,
he does give her his real name. He doesn't say Clarence.
Castiel.
He does say Castiel.
That's true. But only Castiel. And then she comments that's weird. He has one name. But as he's drying himself off from being out in the rain, she realizes that he's got his sleeve is all bloody. So here's another red flag that I'm just going to say. You've brought this man who's potentially homeless into your home alone. And
he's a man
now
that you met going through the dumpster, going through the trash. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. His shirt's bloody. Not good.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
In the meantime, Sam and Dean have stopped for pie at the convenience store. And then they are loudly talking about how they're heading to Detroit and where they need to check for Castiel and all this. And I'm like, but it was a trap to catch the Reaper.
Yeah. So don't fear the Reaper. You let them follow you down an alley and then you stab them. Well, you don't stab them. Sorry, I read something else, but like you want to, but you ask them while they're following you.
Yes. But April has dressed Castiel's wound in her apartment and he's like, yeah, I stabbed the guy and he exploded. And she laughs.
She's also fine with this. Like, this is, cool. Like, so you stabbed someone. That's great.
And she's like, you don't look like the knife fighter homeless type. He's like, I trusted the wrong person. It was my vanity. I thought I was more important and effective than I was and that I could fix everything. Which is actually probably a real bit of honesty out of him.
Yeah.
I appreciate it at this point. And so he's on the run. And she's like, well,
let me give you a massage.
Your delts are nuts. You gotta relax. I'm gonna rub your shoulders.
And so did he get a shower in here? Like, he looks awfully clean for a man who's been living on the streets. I'm just saying. I know he's been going through shelters and stuff, but he looks really nice for someone who is...
He spent the day in an alley.
Yeah.
He dumpster diving. And
also she's just making out with him and like not showering.
And then they start making out. Then they just start making out. You're not alone tonight. And they kiss. What is happening? What the fuck is happening? What is happening? What is happening is what I wrote in all caps on my notes for the rest.
What's happening is that he's losing his V card. Except for what happened with him and Dean. But yeah, so he's losing his V card. And then Sam and Dean have...
they're torturing this Reaper.
Yeah. They have the Reaper hung up, and they're like, you bounty hunters are like Delta Force Reapers. Why would they sick you on Cass? What? Who? Where did you just make up this nonsense from?
I don't know what's happening. All I know is that they did find another abandoned warehouse. I would just like to point that out because they're in a new city and they've got another warehouse, and that's where they're going to torture this.
They're in Detroit. Detroit is nothing but abandoned warehouses.
Well, no, they're heading to Detroit. They're not there yet.
Weren't they in Michigan already? Yeah.
Maybe. But Dean does ask about Naomi because he's asked about her a couple times and everybody's like, what are you talking about? So he finally learns that from now that Naomi's dead. Oh, she is dead. Stop asking about
been dead for like 2 days, Dean. What the fuck? Like, get on the page.
Catch up.
There's a new boss and his name is Bartholomew.
Yes. That's her protege. And he's like, so is that the one that's organizing the angels? And
he's really like, he's just like anti-union. Like, I don't understand. Like, he is obsessed with this angel organizing. He's just like, I need to put a stop to this, like, right now. And everyone's like, we don't care. Like, they don't care.
Well, I guess I get it, because it'd be like, it's a more formidable force if they're organized, and they're all after Cass. That's a bad thing.
What else do you think they're doing? I don't know. So yeah, so David's
it is weird. I mean, obviously they're going to organize. They got kicked out of heaven.
Well, what else are they
of course they're going to do.
Like,
yeah.
Like, oh no, the angels aren't scattering. Like, I don't know. So then kill me. It don't matter. And then he gets stabbed in the face.
Yeah. Back at the April's place, her and Castiel just got done banging
and lighting a bunch of candles.
Yeah, that was a lot of candles lit. So wait, like, did they stop making out? And she's like, "Whoa, I have to go light like 50 candles real fast. Give me like
that's what
10
happened.
minutes."
Like, or maybe she's finally said, "Hey, that rain didn't wash off as much as a street stank as I would like you to. Can you maybe go get out of those clothes, and here's some non-smelly clothes."
So weird.
Yeah, so they're like, there's a fire hazard going on, and they have fucked.
But we see his tattoo.
Yeah.
You didn't really see it earlier, so we see the tattoo now.
We see the tattoo. Again, Sharpie would have been just as fine. Apparently, a lot of people have tried to translate it. It doesn't really come out well. Although there is a sign of Lucifer in it.
Well, she wants Cass to say something, and he's like, there are words. And she's like, well, that was okay? He's like, very much so. And then asks if what he did was erect.
Mm-hmm.
She says, very much so.
Yeah, so they just pillow talk, guilt, they has guilt, blah, blah, blah. I'm no angel, let's have more sex.
Yeah, that's what they do. And Sam and Dean are driving, and as we just get a cut for that for not a real reason, and then because then we go straight back to
this is where we know they go to Michigan. They drive through the night, and then we get the barn with the Michigan sign.
Yes, and now April's making breakfast. Like, she's like cutting up a grapefruit, and she washed all of Cass's stuff. And he's like, something's missing, my jacket, and she's cutting the grapefruit with a fucking angel blade.
I'm just like, wow, does it really cut like that? Because I never really like that.
Doesn't look like it.
I'm very impressed. Yeah, I think it's blood oranges, not grapefruit, or maybe it's grapefruut. I don't know.
Blood orange would make more sense because, like, it's kind of a small grapefruit. It was just close to that coloring.
Yeah, but I was impressed with you figuring out to use this, and I thought it was hilarious. So then we cut back to Baby.
Yeah, and Dean's like, I'm fried. Time for plan B. And Sam's like, what are you talking about?
Who'd you get
and
pregnant?
Dean's like, I'm letting you know. And he's like, I'm letting you know. And Sam is so confused. And finally, Sam Ezekiel appears. Or I guess Ezekiel. I don't know.
Sam Ezekiel was fine. But also, like, why didn't y'all create, like, a code word for this? Like, I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know.
And he's like, hey, we need help finding Cass. And Sam Ezekiel's like, I can't because he's warded. But why don't we try to find the Reaper that's tracking him? And that might help.
Yeah, I can try. And then there's some deep nostril breath acting, which is how we know Sam is Sam Ezekiel. And then we go back to Cass.
Yeah, and she's like, I guess washing the blood was pointless. Ha ha ha. That's something the real April would have done. I miss being her because she was so sweet. But the briefing I read that said you were dangerous and powerful, so I had to gain your trust. So here's my question. So is she a Reaper?
Mm-hmm.
But do you just become a Reaper? I forgot how they become a Reaper when you die. Like, that's the whole thing, right?
Well, she's possessing a vessel. Because
I didn't think Reapers did that. That's why I'm confused.
Yes, now everybody possesses a vessel when they're on the earth. That's like, now we have come to this. So now if you are on the earth and you are in a vessel without a pestle, and you are in a vessel that's a human, no matter if you're an angel or a Reaper or a demon.
I just didn't think Reapers did that.
Now that's where we're at.
It confused me in this episode a lot.
Yep, she's in a vessel. That's just where we're going to.
So Castiel's like, so this required intercourse? And she's like, It's
I'm just
executive decision.
horny. I was horny.
And I found you kind of attractive, so whatever.
You didn't smell too bad. You gave you a peanut butter sandwich.
But she wants to know about Metatron, and she is going, and Castiel's tied up. She's going to torture him to find out about Metatron. And she's torturing for info. He's like, look, I knew nothing about his spell. I didn't know it was going to cast the angels out. I was naive. And she's like, nope, you were working with him. That's bullshit. And he's like, no, really, I thought I was fixing heaven and I was going to bring the factions together. But I knew also that I was the last ingredient. I just didn't know it was for a spell.
And she's like, I don't care about your dumb plan. I've already fucked you. I just want to kill you. Please stop talking.
And he's like, but it might be unwise to kill me because if my grace is what powered the spell, I might somehow be the key to negating it too.
Which isn't a bad logic. I mean, it's a good logic.
But as Sam and Dean bust in, she stabs him real hard.
And then she flicks them. Stabs him, flicks them. They skirmish.
Yeah. There's a skirmish. Dean's crying. He gets to kill April, and Sam.
So he kills her with the blade that he takes out of Cass, which I would like to point out is the blade that has been covered in the grapefruit or the orange blood thing.
Would that sting more?
Would that sting more? I mean, it's a pleasant smelling stab. Like, it would smell good.
Mm-hmm. Is it also slightly sterilizing?
I would think you're just putting acid in a wound is probably really what happens. And then, like, probably gets infected. But, you know.
Yeah. Well, so he kills April. He's crying. Sam approaches, but no, it's not Sam. It's Sam Ezekiel because Sam was unconscious. And so Sam Ezekiel waves a hand over Castiel's belly and heals him.
Yeah, and he's so tan. He's just so fucking tan. I don't get it.
And then Sam Ezekiel falls back into where Sam was unconscious. Castiel wakes as Sam comes to, and everybody's very confused because they all know that Sam was. Everybody knows that Cass was dead or close to it because he was stabbed with a giant blade in his stomach, and Sam was knocked out. So Dean lies again.
Such a liar. And he says, yeah, I made a deal that she wouldn't get kebabbed if I brought her back while Sam was unconscious, and put me wrong.
Yeah. So we go to the bunker. And Sam wants to know how they were able to find Castiel. And Dean's like, oh, well, I went through Maurice's pockets and I found an address.
Yeah, he just comes.
Maurice was the hunter that was following them, we find out. That's
the Reaper. Yeah, he finally got a name.
Yeah. And in the meantime, Castiel is enjoying bunker food and water pressure.
Look at you. I mean, he also appreciates all the food that's around. And Dean points out that being human is not all about burritos and strippers. And now I also want a burrito that he is clearly like he's just chowing down on. It looks really good.
Yeah. And Castiel's like, no, I understand. It's, more than survival. It's about purpose. And not being, deceived by anger, despair, or
erections.
Hedonism is the word.
Oh, hedonism. Okay, I thought it was erections. But, also hedonism works.
Well, he's like, yeah, my time with April was very educational.
We had the sex.
Yes. And Dean asks if he used protection.
And he had an angel blade.
Oh, so he's going to eat a burrito.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have chlamydia. We don't know. We don't know what April had. So, so Cass thinks they're going to be great teachers on being human. And hurrah, there's more burritos.
Yeah. So Sam Ezekiel's like, look, Castiel, because he's gone, so he was off to the other room. So he tells Dean, Castiel can't stay here because that's going to bring the angels down on us. And Dean's like, no, we're in the bunker. It's safe. It's fine. No. And Sam Ezekiel's like, nope. Castiel's in danger. That means I'm in danger. We're all in danger. No, he has to fucking leave. Or I have to leave. But Sam's not well enough yet. So Dean has to go to Castiel and tell him that he can't stay there. Castiel's very sad.
It's like kicking a puppy. It's just, especially as a guy, he's been unhoused. He's been figuring out all these things that make being a human suck. And then you're like, you gotta go, bro.
Yeah, it's awful.
And
like I made you travel all the way here. I went and found your fucking ass to bring you here, and now you can't stay here.
I mean, at least come up with something. Go look. I need you to go look for Kevin. I need you or I need you to go look in Bobby's cabin. I need you.
Or I need you to stay
junkyard.
in this place instead because it's safer. Like, give him something.
Like, if he can't stay there, send him somewhere else so that you know where he's at, and don't just be like, you're gonna go back out on the street. Like, I don't think that's cool.
I don't like it.
So, all right. Before we get back to final thoughts of this episode, what you got on casting?
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
All right, we've got Bartholomew. Bart, whatever you want to call him. He's played by Adam J. Harrington. He's been in episodes of Stargate SG-1, Smallville, CSI New York, CSI Miami, Parks and Recreation, CSI, the original twice, Criminal Minds, NCIS New Orleans. He was in episodes of Shadowhunters and Lincoln Lawyer 3 times. He was Rogan in the movie House of the Dead, Jack Magnum in The Ugly Truth, Agent Walker in Dexter, which is a reoccurring character, FBI agent Brenner in Bosch, which is another reoccurring character in a TV show, and John Jagger Cates in General Hospital for 44 times.
Yeah.
Ongoing character in General Hospital. April Kelly was played by Shannon Lucio. You would have seen her in episodes of ER, NYPD Blue, CSI in Miami, Criminal Minds, Grey's Anatomy multiple times, Once Upon a Time, CSI, NCIS, American Horror Story a couple of times, and Shameless. She was also Lindsay on The OC, which was a reoccurring character, and then Trishane / Miriam in Prison Break, which is a reoccurring character, and also Caroline Compton in True Blood.
That's a vampirist.
Reverend Buddy Boyle was played by Kevin Brief. He had been in episodes of a gazillion things, which I'll get to, but interestingly, he did a lot of voice work in anime specifically, including Akira, Mobile Suit Gundam, and Ghost in the Shell. But in his acting, where you would see his face potentially, episodes of Baywatch, Golden Girls, Home Improvement, Wings, Married with Children, Murphy Brown, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Coach, Boy Meets World, Beverly Hills 90210, Frasier, Everybody Loves Raymond, Friends, ER, Will and Grace, Star Trek Enterprise, House, Malcolm in the Middle, Nip Tuck, Medium, Big Bang Theory, Grey's Anatomy, Bones, Justified, Young and the Restless, Dexter, Criminal Minds, and Days of Our Lives as a recurring character.
That's pretty prolific.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then Maurice, our good old freelance Reaper, played by Artine Tony Brown. Been in episodes of X-Files, Degrassi The Next Generation, Stargate SG-1, True Calling, Criminal Minds, Smallville, Fringe, Once Upon a Time, Arrow, and the new Superman and Lois. He was also Bubba in iZombie, which is a recurring character. Linda was our woman in the church. She was played by Ingrid Torrance. She was Nurse Ratched in Once Upon a Time, which was a regular character on there. And she was a clerk in the movie Double Jeopardy, which is a good classic. I say classic, I don't know, 90s maybe, but still. And our tattoo artist was played by Romeo Reyes. They are an actor, an actual tattoo artist. They own shops in Canada. And a transgender advocate and mentor and model, as well as a singer-songwriter, and has also been in episodes of Arrow and Flash.
And they would probably be really annoyed at somebody coming up to them in the middle of a tattoo and being like, hey, can you do this?
Yeah, they would. So there we go.
There we go. And yeah, so I don't like women using CAS. Like, and that's gross. Like, it's not cool to abuse, to hide yourself and then take advantage of them that way. Like, I think that was cool at all. April.
No. Rude.
So rude.
Rude.
So
quite rude.
What a rude reaper.
This was kind of a sad fucking episode in general, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, it really wasn't a bummer, but it wasn't great.
No, there was some really like sweet moments and profound, like we both identified a couple things that really stood out that we thought were profound conversations in it. But the whole like kind of story is kind of fucking sad.
Yeah, I mean, well, we know like angels are dicks. We're really starting to see what Sam Ezekiel means, right? And also, I mean, we've got is Dean overusing the Ezekiel power, right?
I don't know, man. We all know this lie is going to get him into some shit.
Of course it is. Like, we know, like, one, lying never pays. You're always going to get caught. And it feels to me like it makes my stomach all filled with gross butterflies when people are lying about, like, when you're being dishonest this much. Like, and I don't know. It's not going to end well. We know this, and I'm not spoiling that. I'm just like, you can't be deceitful like this. Mm-mm. And it's just mean to Sam, and it's
mean to Sam. It's mean to Cass. He's being mean to everybody.
Yeah, the consequences for getting Cass kicked out of here, like, that's fucked up.
I don't like it.
Breaking up Destiel for this new Sam Ezekiel. I don't know what's going on. All right, on that note, anything else?
That's it.
All right, cheers, Dirt.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.